That's it. We are live. Today is, I've got my glasses on. Oh, it's the 16th of the 11th. I should know the date, shouldn't I? The 16th of November, 2018. Got my camera on for a little bit. Hello, Rich. And we've got Rich, Mr. Thrive and Survive. Oh, and Patricia's trying to get back on. She's been having internet problems. There she is. Hi, Patricia, and good evening, Rich. Or good afternoon to you.
Yes, thank you. Good evening to you and everybody watching here in Denver, Colorado.
You are. You're going off to the Rockies tomorrow, yeah?
We are going to. We got it worked out. Somebody's got a van that holds 6 people, and they're going to take us to the Rockies. So me, Dave Marsh, one of my subscribers, and whoever's driving.
That's cool. That's really good. That's nice. So, Rich, you're in Denver. How's the conference been?
Uneventful. Just kidding. No, for me, the conference has been absolutely fantastic. The people here are just absolutely wonderful people. I've never met much better than last year. I don't know why. My head was in a different place last year, but I've thoroughly enjoyed mixing it up with the people and getting to know them. And really, I just can't say enough about how fantastic the people are in this movement. It gives you faith in humanity when you're around a bunch of people that not only think the same way, but if you think differently, they're okay with it and they're willing to think about it, and vice versa. I've had so many people say, what do you think about, like, maybe the moon is a dying star or dying sun? And I don't believe that, but it's like, I'm willing to think that through. And it goes the other way too. I'll say something off the top of my head. What do you think of this? And they're like, no, I never thought about that, but I'll think that through. And that's what our community is all about. We're open-minded, and we realize at this point that's how we learn. If we're open to new truths and things like that, even if it conflicts with our immediate brain waves that we have still programmed in there, we're willing to consider things. And I think the Flat Earth movement in particular in the next couple of years will be the most informed people there are, because we're so open to things and non-judgmental. Because we realized we fell for the biggest thing there was, which was the spinning ball. I don't think there's anything really bigger than that. I mean, there's other stuff that's more horrific, but as far as lies that have been perpetuated for generations, we swallowed the whole ball, didn't we, from kindergarten on? And we're programmed to laugh at it and things like that. So when people come out of that cult, which we were all in, it's just a beautiful thing, and it does something to the mind, and it brings out. I don't know if it just brings out good people, but it brings out the good in people, and that's the main thing I want to say about this conference. Before we talk about a few other controversial things that have happened, but absolutely fantastic. I can't wait for next year, wherever that is, and I'll know that tonight. I'll know where it is next year, and as long as I can afford to be there, I'll be there. But I'm saving most of my money for the UK, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
So tell us a little bit about some of these people that you've been talking to then, because you were telling me.
Oh, you mean just the people coming up?
For instance, the doctor.
Oh, yes. I mean, this is a neat story. There was a physician here, a young lady. I'd say she was probably in her mid-20s or late 20s, and we got to talking last night, and I said, are you a flat earther? She said, well, I think so. I'm pretty much there. And I said, so did you come to the conference like I did or whatever? She said, no, my company or her hospital, whatever, needed her to go out in Denver. And she knew we were meeting here. So she said, can you give me this hotel? And they said, yes. So she wanted to mix it up with us and pick our brain and things like that. So Dave Marsh also talked to her for a long time. I left and talked to Dr. Robertson Jennis for a while in between because I wanted to ask him a question. He's the one that did the principal. But I came back and she was talking big time about she's against vaccines, 100%. She's trying to spread the word as fast as she can. And there's other doctors that are in the same boat, but they can't publicly, like scientists who know that the earth is flat. They don't want to cut off their paycheck, or they can't afford to cut off their paycheck, so they don't say anything publicly. And she even down to the flu shot. She talks about how bad that is. And in Canada, she's from Montreal. She said she had to wear a mask during the whole flu season just because she wouldn't get the flu shot. And we were talking about that becoming mandatory and different things like that. But she listened to everything I had to say. We talked mostly about the moon and different proofs. And I think she was very impressed by the knowledge of everybody there. And by the time I was in talking with her, she was like, I'm pretty much there with Flat Earth. So that was a good thing. But she's awake. She got awake the other side.
More of them, Rich. We need more, what do you call them, doctors, teachers. We need more of these, well, I suppose you call them professional people. We need more of them.
Yeah, because you have that group of people that are in that group think, I guess, where if you don't have a PhD behind your name or higher education, then you're not credible. And, when I start talking about Dr. Sangenis, and I think he's a physicist, wait till you hear what he had to say about his theory. He's a geocentrist. And anyway, it was easy to show the fallacies of his argument, in my mind anyway. I'm sure he didn't think so in his mind. But when you talk to these professionals, this is the first real professional I spoke to at any length that was totally open to this stuff, who wasn't so programmed by the education system. That's the problem. These people that get higher education, the more and more and more you go, the more you are indoctrinated into what they want you to know. And I know that even when I started, when I got my degree, especially the first half of it was indoctrination. And if I wasn't awake to it, I wouldn't even realize it was indoctrination. So I know she's gone through a lot as a medical doctor, especially like, oh, you have to take this drug to fix this, that drug. She's like, no. She was like, use vitamin C for this, or use this supplement for that. So she's one of those people that's really awake. And it was very nice to speak to somebody like that.
So how is she coping with the fact that she's now a flat earther in the, like being in a doctor, but knowing different now? How is she, did she say?
She's in the closet with it right now. So, that's how she's dealing with it. A lot of us were that way for a long time. I wasn't. I told family and friends pretty quickly, but I'm still pretty much, I do YouTube. I got 50,000 subscribers, but I'm in the closet. Like when I go to the park with my dog and the neighbors are there, I don't bring it up. I just don't. And maybe I will. Maybe I'll start. I got a couple of Flat Earth shirts I can wear now. So I'm sure that would pique some interest if I started wearing those. But I've already told them some weird stuff that they've slowly come to accept from me. So we'll see. But I'm just normally not that kind of person to be comfortable. And I don't think she's comfortable publicly yet either. She did mention something about her company doesn't know why she wanted to go to that hotel or this hotel, but she was glad they sent her.
You don't want to make Speaker's Corner in that park you go to then, Rich?
No. Yeah. Let your dogs out and let's have friends.
I'm lagging now. I'm going to turn my camera off for a little bit because I'm lagging. But before you go, I will put it back on.
Okay.
That's it. So who else have you met, Rich?
Pardon me?
You met. You said that people were coming up to you all the time.
Oh yeah, people from everywhere. Some of the names I recognize, some I don't. And I got a lot of positive feedback for my truncated presentation. Me and Dave Marsh combined forces, and at the last minute, literally the last minute, they said, we're running late and we would like you to catch the whole conference back up. So can you cut 10 to 15 minutes out of your presentation? So we did it. It was racing, but we both went through. Dave left out a ton of stuff that was, to me, the most interesting stuff. He just never got to it because they did that to us. But we're going to combine forces, I think, and put together a video. I know I'm going to take my PowerPoint presentation, which I had so many people come up to me and say, Rich, you had the best presentation. It was right on point. These are things I need to. Well, what I did was I geared my presentation. It was on the moon, but I geared it towards things you can point out to non-believers in flat Earth about the moon to get them to start thinking without you having to say flat Earth. For example, why is it when the sun sets and it's almost dark and you can see the entire sky is still blue, but there's not enough light for you to cast a shadow? And then contrast that on a full moon, when the moon's right overhead, you have a really dark, deep shadow, but there's absolutely no blue in the sky. So you get them thinking about that. Notice that next time. So if the moon is reflecting sunlight, how come it doesn't even light up a little bit of the sky in blue around the moon? So it was that other little things that they could readily talk to their folks about. I talked about the tides, how they don't match what NASA says. That's a little bit more technical where they have to actually do research. But I did talk about, the thermometer experiments people have done. And I found 2 really good videos. I'll be posting this when I do my video on the presentation. One lady took an infrared thermometer, because one of the arguments is with those laser thermometers is that it has a wide radius. So you're really getting not just what you say you're getting, like moonlight or shade. But she took one of those infrared thermometers. You actually sort of like you touch to your forehead, see what your temperature is. And she touched it to this material. Half was in the moonlight, half was in the shade. And the moonlight was 2 degrees Fahrenheit cooler. So there's no big ring around that. That's physical contact. And then I have another video where a guy used a pipe, plastic pipe. And he did use the infrared, but he was very close. And he went from one side, the shaded side, all the way over to the moon side, or vice versa. I can't remember now. But the entire time he's doing it, the temperature, he started in the moonlight. The temperature started, let's say, at 70 degrees. And a quarter of the way over, it was already up to 72. Halfway was 74, 76, 77 as he went over. It was fascinating. So there's 2 different ways to look at that. Plus, I've gotten a lot of good feedback back from people. Someone said, have you ever taken moonlight and put it through a prism? I think maybe I thought about that because I saw somebody else's video once, but it totally left my mind. But now it's back there, so I'm going to be looking into doing something like that. I think maybe I might have to magnify it first. I'm not sure. But we've been bouncing ideas off of each other, which is fantastic. And the amount of cooperation with individuals and people wanting to become more active this year is tenfold over last year. I've got people approaching me saying, I'm going to start an AM flat earth radio.
Oh, yeah, that was one of my little subjects there I was going to ask you about. If you can hear some bang bang going off, people are still letting fireworks off. We're not at war or anything. They're letting fireworks off. Hey, come on, Rich.
As far as you know, right?
Yeah, as far as I know. Yeah.
Live fire.
So carry on, Rich. You were talking about broadcasts.
Yeah, so there's people talking about doing podcasts, broadcasts, live radio, like during rush hour. They're trying to line up sponsors. That's going to be a little bit difficult because when they find out it's flat earth, they're probably going to think, do I want to sponsor this? But there's people saying, how about you calling in when we do this and you can be a guest online or whatever? It's like, yeah, anytime. So people are starting to combine forces, which is fantastic. That's what will take flat earth to critical mass so that it just goes viral at some point. Once you pass 2%, things start to go viral. So these things that people are doing are going to be fantastic. I partnered with somebody, this guy right here. This is a CD. He's a musician. His name is Frank America. This is an album he did called Magnetic North. People will hear me talking about this because I talked to him about doing documentaries and would he do the music for me. And we agreed to do it. And so it's these partnerships that are going to make things awesome.
Helping each other.
Exactly.
I have a bit more help for you as well, Rich, just to say that his name's Adam Meakin. He's in the chat room. He's part of Iron Realm Media. He says that he's got some moon data which he needs to send you. So
I've been talking to Zach.
there you go. Question he asked, have you spoken to Zach? And you said yes.
Several times. He's going to send me the data before it goes live. I think he'll know what I mean. But yeah, absolutely. We've been talking. He's been the doorman, making sure people have a badge on when they come in. So every time I cross, we stop and talk. So it's been pretty cool. but everybody's talking this year. Last year was just people walking down the hall, going to lunch, coming back, sitting down in their chairs, and that was pretty much it. There was people talking, but this year everybody's together. You should have seen. I should have actually filmed the bar area last night. It was a
Heaving.
it was what?
Heaving. Full.
Yes, absolutely, and it was a buzz. I mean, the people in the regular hotel, they must have been like, "What's going on?" Because we were all just back and forth chattering and having a great time. And that's where I talked to Dr. Sangenis. There was a fantastic debate between Rob Skiba, who presented the biblical flat Earth argument, and Dr. Robert Sangenis. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. He produced the movie The Principle, and he's also got a book. Oh, and I found out I'm in his book. He just didn't know my name. But I think he said he put it in there as Thrive, Survive. He didn't know for sure. But it's talking about the analema in his book. So maybe I'll have to buy his book now just to see what he's saying.
Rich, you are becoming famous.
Well, I'm sure he hammered me in the book. But he's a really good guy. He is a geocentrist. So he believes the Earth is at the center of the universe. Everything rotates around the Earth, just like we believe, but he believes the Earth is a ball. So that's where he falls off the wagon, in my opinion. But Rob Skiba did a fantastic job. They spent a little too much time, I thought, debating certain Hebrew words and what they mean, like what does the firmament mean, and is the sun in the firmament, and if that's solid, how does it move? So to me, that was sort of off topic, but it was really, as a whole, it was a great debate. And I think Rob Skiba, now, of course, I'm biased, but I was trying to be as neutral as possible. I really was. But Rob Skiba was just slam dunking everything. And you could see it on Dr. Sangenis' face. You really could see the tension because he was just blowing it out of the water. He really did his homework. So I got to tip my hat to Rob Skiba for that. But afterwards...
Yeah, few physicists we've heard from, Rich. The like Robin from Lifting the Lid channel has been talking to one, and Flat Earth dude who's away on holiday this week, he's been talking to one. When we've listened to them talking, these physicists they're not saying anything. They're saying nothing.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I believe he's a physicist. I could be wrong, but I think that is his major. And he's a PhD, so he's one of the scientists that's been willing to risk it all, really. He was very adverse to anybody flat Earth talking about the principle or anything because he didn't want to mix it up. But my understanding is, and I won't tell you my source for that, but it's reliable. What happened was nobody else was really picking up the ball on the principle or what he was talking about, his books, except flat earthers. They were interested in the geocentric part. So he finally gave in, and now he's at the conference. So from about 3 or 4 years ago, he was like, don't call me. I don't want to be associated with flat earthers at all. He didn't say this, but the idea is it'll give it a bad name. We all know that. But now he's here with us. So he's not willing to show his face. He's not willing to be afraid to show his face anyway with us. And he's a really nice guy. I really like him. He's down to earth. And we had a really good conversation about several things last night. And during the debate, he answered a question that I had for a long time that I didn't know about geocentrists. They believe, like we do, that the stars go around us, or around us, depending on how you want to look at it. He looks at it like this. So if I do that, I'm not saying it's a ball, but he does. And my question was, because the stars have to come back around once in 24 hours, how far away are the stars? Well, he just came right out and blurted that out during the debate. Said, the stars are maybe 100 million light years away or 100 million miles, whatever he said. I was like, they're pretty much dead in the water, in my opinion. So later I talked to him about it, and I told him I had the principle. I do have that movie. And we talked for a little bit, and Rob Skiba told me, he said, he's the one that's in your book. You didn't know who it was. It's him. So, and I was shocked too. I was like, what do you mean I'm in his book? So, he watched my presentation on the
analema. Congratulations. Congratulations for being in a book.
Yeah, thanks. I just don't know how bad he tore me up. So, or attempted to. but I'm sure he was decent about it. He's a decent person. That's what I get from him. But the thing is, if they're millions of miles away or millions of light years, whatever, especially millions of light years. And at one point, I was during a conversation, I think he said no closer than 600 light years. I think he said. So I said, well, you have a problem then. I said, because the stars have to be traveling faster than the speed of light. And I didn't even get to the point where the closer stars, because I said, are some closer, some farther away? He said, yeah. Well, the closer ones have to be moving, if they're closer, they have to be moving slower to be in the exact position or moving the exact same speed every night with everything else. For the farther away ones, the furthest away, they have to be moving faster. Really makes no sense, but I didn't bring that part up. But I said they'd have to be going faster than the speed of light. He goes, no, not necessarily. I said, how do you figure that? He said, well, the speed of light is not necessarily limited to 186,000 miles per second. He said if it's in I can't remember, I was half lit drinking, but he said if it was certain conditions, it can move faster or slower. And I knew I had him at this point in my mind. I said, well, because the theory of relativity says that there's a possibility that if this happens and this happens relative to one another, the speed of light could change. I said, well, Einstein, who came up with that special theory of relativity, he said that if the speed of light ever is shown to be able to change, his theory is necessarily null and void. It's bad. And I don't know if because he was drinking or whatever, he said, yeah, but that's true with all his work. If the speed of light changes, it's all bunk. And I'm like, you just debunked yourself. So you're using the theory of relativity on one hand to say the stars can move faster than the speed of light. Then on the other hand, you're saying because of and the reasoning is because of the special theory of relativity. But the special theory of relativity says if the speed of light ever changes, equals mc squared, the c is constant. So if it ever changes speed, it is not his theory. Einstein said, my theory is null and void, paraphrasing a little bit, but he said it's no good if it ever is proven that the speed of light can change. And he's arguing that the speed of light does change, and that allows for the stars to move faster than the speed of light. So to me, he debunked himself. And I don't think he even realized it. Then I said, well, how do you deal with water being flat? And you're on a ball that doesn't move. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, at one point, does water bend? I said, 10 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles. And I stopped at 30. And you know what he said? He goes, just past 30 miles, it starts to bend. And I'm like, oh, my. So I kind of left it there. I didn't want to get in an argument or anything, but we've seen much further over Lake Michigan to see Chicago is 60 miles, no curve.
That's a bit weird if it's got to be 30 miles before the water starts bending. Surely that's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. But they were weak arguments. They were really weak.
I bet you enjoyed that then, Rich.
I enjoyed talking to him. I really did. Like I said, he's a decent guy. And that's true with everybody here. Pretty much.
Yeah. So just asking you then, how many people, like, who have you actually met at the conference that you know or know of? Just asking, putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I'd say about 20 to 25 people where I recognize their screen name, that they come to my channel and comment or on live streams. 20 to 25. And then I'd probably met 75 to 100 people have come up to me, introduced themselves. We've taken photos. They've sat down anywhere from me eating breakfast to the middle of the hallway. It literally is hard sometimes to get from, we wind around big time to get to the convention center. And when you're in that, if they're in between presentations and people are out roaming the halls, I literally can only usually go a few feet before somebody else stops me. And, hey, MrThriveAndSurvive, I love your videos, and I've been subscribing since whatever. It's wonderful. It really is. But I would not want to be a celebrity. That would get old really fast. It's fine for 3 or 4 days. Beautiful. I love it. I love meeting these people. But, I mean, the first day, it was literally hard to put food in my mouth. That's how much I was interrupted while I was eating. And like I said, it's great. It's wonderful. but that would get old real fast. So, like I think we talked about it earlier, Karen. That's why maybe Michael Jackson disguised himself when he went out. I understand.
Mm. You just want to nip to the shop. You get like the car and people, but you need an escort to go out. He would an escort to go out, even just to go to a shop. So yeah,
well,
there is the other side. It makes people very lonely, doesn't it, when they have too much of that, because there's just too much of that.
It's a lot. It really is. And I feel bad because I meet so many people, and then when I see them again, I'm like, oh my God, what's their name? And you know what's weird is I found that if I know their screen name or their YouTube name, I memorize that a lot easier than their actual name, which is weird. If their name matches, like there's a guy on my channel, he's been there forever. His name is Ace McLeod. And
yeah, he chat room sometimes.
Yeah, really good guy. And I finally met him, and that's his name. I didn't know if it was his real name or it was a pseudonym. And wonderful person, but his name's Ace McLeod, so I will never forget his face with who he is, because it's a double match. But there's other people I'm like, oh, was that Carolyn, or what was her name, or her name's Bumblebee? That's who it is. Or like Bling Bling. I can't remember her real name. Is it Christine?
Yes, well done.
Okay.
She was in the chat room a little bit earlier on.
Oh, was she? Okay. Yeah, it was great to meet her. And like I said, Karen had sent me a message. We talk on Messenger, and I was playing it out loud in the hallway. And I'm walking, and the hallway was empty. Then all of a sudden, I glanced down at the phone or at the floor so I didn't trip over something, and she must have turned the corner then. And all of a sudden, she was like, "Hello, Karen." She thought you were alive. And she's on Messenger. And she goes, "Oh, isn't it too bad Karen can't be here?" And there's been like 3 people that said that, at least.
Oh.
They wish you were here. And I bring up Sun and Moon all the time. I brought it up in my presentation. Again.
Did you? Rich?
Yeah, you'll hear it when Robbie puts it on. I think I got to, you know what? I think I did. I can't say 100% for sure because we had to cut so much. But it should be on there. But I'm telling a lot of people here, hey, I hang out about every 3rd week on Sun and Moon Group. And there's been people that have been writing it down.
Oh, good. Hopefully some of them might be tuning in today. But Rich, thank you so much for that. It's a real nice thing that you do for our group.
Oh, no, it's a fantastic group. It really is.
But you're part of it as well.
That's right. Thoughts of Mark Sargent leaving. Did Mark Sargent leave? I'm looking in the chat room. I'm just kidding. I know about it. I will give you my thoughts if you think I should. Somebody's asking. So here's my thoughts. I'll give you the details as I know them, and I didn't know them until ex post facto. I didn't know until after the fact. When I went down this morning, Robbie Davidson said to me, and I haven't talked to Robbie much because he's been so busy. He said, "I guess you heard what happened this morning." I was like, "No, what?" He said, "You didn't hear?" I was like, "No." He said, "Mark Sargent left." I was like, "What do you mean he left?" He said, "Well, he was supposed to give a presentation for over an hour this morning, and he never showed. And he got on a plane and left and went back to Seattle. I think Seattle. And it was over, is it Logan Paul or Paul Logan? I don't know which one it is. And what was funny is about that, not many people, when he was introduced, I wasn't there when he was introduced. I saw him, and I don't even recognize him because after I knew he was here, I looked up his videos to see what he looked like. But my understanding is hardly anybody clapped. They didn't know him. So, and they wouldn't because there aren't young people here. Well, there are young people, but they're not that young generally. So most people didn't know who he was. So anyway, I didn't know at the time that Mark Sargent left last night. And how much should I get into? He left last night, and Robbie Davidson evidently didn't know about it this morning. So I'll leave it at that. You can make up your own mind from that information. And my understanding, I know Mark Sargent's done a video to explain his reasoning. My only issue really with the whole thing, it's not between me and him, so it doesn't matter to me, is if what I heard is correct, that he just left without telling anybody. And then, what happened this morning is, my understanding is, I wasn't there, that when he was supposed to be speaking, because he didn't tell anybody he was leaving, the people were just sitting there for an hour before they got somebody scrambled to come in and take his place, to talk about something else. So my only issue with the whole thing is, if I heard correctly, and he didn't tell anybody and just left, I don't think that's right. If he evidently does not like this guy, Paul or Logan, whatever it is. And to me, he's a person. If you're part of the group and you're supposed to be, if you're supposed to be presenting, and he was first one to present after the opening remarks, and you don't even tell anybody that you're leaving, to me, that's not good. It's not what I would do. Let's put it that way. So you can make your own judgments from that. I'm not making any judgments on either one or Robbie bringing this guy here. He's running it. It's his show. So if that's what he wants to do, he's got to live with the consequences if there are any. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, I hope that's okay for the chat room there. Rich, you said that the conference was miles, like in the building where you are. You've got to go round there, down there, around the corner, around that corner.
Yeah, so it's not just this hotel. When I was in sales, we always did trade shows. And I didn't think about it until today, Karen, when we were talking about it. You go down, you turn right, you turn left, you turn right again, I think, then one more left and one more right. Then you go down another long hallway, and you're finally there at the conference area. And the big rooms, which is what we need, they're all there at the end. But I noticed today that they have these little rooms where if you stack it just right, you can fit maybe 15, 20 people. They're all staggered all the way down all those little turns. It allows them to basically make big closets so they can make a lot more money getting people in there to present whatever they want to present. Because there's a lot of companies that are small and they want to go to a hotel and have a little hangout and things like that. And they can't afford to rent a 10,000 square foot, whatever, area. And they only have like 15, 20 employees. That's perfect for them. But they should, I think, really reconsider. Maybe what they should do is have the big ones up front and then the little ones wind all down in there, because they're making tons of people go the extra distance, where the little 20 groups, they can go just, down one turn or two and they're at their meeting place. So that's kind of, but that's typical in the United States. They do that here.
Yeah, I did say, didn't I, that they maybe didn't want the Flat Earth conference right in the front door. They wanted it over there.
No, that wouldn't be the case here, because there is no place close with that one. But there's possibly another reason I'm not even thinking of, and that's noise. Maybe that's why they went that far away from the hotel. You might have people in there with cars that they're, turn on, or motorcycles or whatever to display to people. You never know what's going to go on at a convention where they're making a lot of noise. And maybe that's the reason. So the people in the hotel are not put out by the noise. I don't know. But I can tell you one thing. When you set up for those things and you're hauling the equipment, it is not fun, because it's like especially the turns, left, right. And it's almost always, not so much here, but you got up ramps, down ramps, going over bumps, that are built in so they can run big cables in for electricity. And it seems like it's poorly designed somehow.
So can I just backtrack to this bit about Mark Sargent? What do you think the press are going to make of that, by the way?
I hope they make a big deal out of it, honestly, because it doesn't matter if it's good news or bad news. When news is out there, more people hear about it, and that'll bring more people to it either way. So I don't think it's going to be a negative at all. Now, it might be a negative if people start taking sides, saying I'm on Mark Sargent's side or I'm on Robbie Davidson's side. My thing is, don't get caught up in that. It didn't affect you directly unless you were sitting in that auditorium, but still, it didn't affect you directly. It was on Robbie Davidson's shoulder to get a replacement set up and to go. And it was Mark Sargent's on his shoulder, really, I think, to inform Robbie Davidson or somebody that they weren't going to be there for the presentation so that alternative things could be handled. So to me, it's between those two. But you know how it's going to happen. People are going to take sides, and I don't think they should. There was probably wrong on both sides, like usual. Should that guy have been here? I have no idea. When I told my son about it, I texted him about it. I said, "Do you know this guy?" He said, "I've heard of him." And then he checked me. He goes, "Oh, yeah, I know who this is. He's a big-time troll. He's probably there to troll you guys." And I was like, "Could be. I don't know." So, the question is, how much did Robbie Davidson vet this guy beforehand? And if he didn't vet him well, maybe we get trolled. But he was here both days. He was here today.
Mm.
And he was here yesterday. So he didn't just come and troll and leave, which you would think would happen.
I've never heard of him, but then I'm a bit older, aren't I? I don't know. I'm not into Jackass and all that stuff. That's basically, he's like another version of that. So I'm not really into that. And that's capturing a much younger audience, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Much younger than what's typically here. There is young people here, but not that many. I mean, the average age here, I'd say, is 30s to 40s. If you want to group people together, there's obviously much older and younger, but 30s to 40s is generally I'd say late 20s to late 40s is the majority of the people.
You did say that people also were coming up to you and saying, "I've got this experiment, I've got this idea." So, I mean.
Yeah, or I have this equipment. If you're ever in my area, let's do something. That's also good. I mean, people combining to do experiments and ideas for experiments, that's all really good. I talked to Robert Force about going to South Carolina for an experiment. He said to get back in contact with him afterwards. Maybe we can work it out. So, yeah, a lot of good stuff.
You couldn't mistake Robert in his T-shirt.
No. And I'm telling you, he is a salesman. He is out there pushing his stuff. He is nonstop. So if anybody is a pusher for the truth, it's him.
Yeah, he's a real sweetie, and he did have a video after the lion Mickey out of him, but millions of people watched that. So in a sense, he's probably a bit more. He's also a bit more, out there really. Anyway, I really appreciate his work. He's very good with his camera.
Oh, he's fantastic. Yeah. Also, I've been, able to talk to people that have done laser experiments and found out, how much you have to spend, what wattage laser will reach so far. Evidently, for what I'm doing, probably 150 watt laser would reach 20 miles. So that's all I would ever need. And it's $150, I think. I can't remember the wattage. I have to check with him again. But, we're sharing ideas this year, and that didn't really, the people sharing with one another is exponentially increased this year. And also the people that are doing videos. Oh, here's the other thing. A lot of people are like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel to start spreading this news. I wasn't hearing that last year. So there's a lot more of that. People are getting more active. And there's been several things on the schedule where they're trying to tell you how to become activists. Let me give you some of the subjects they've been covering. This is day one. I won't give you all the pre stuff, but anyway, and the kickoff. Testing the globe, Flat Earth 101, Flat Earth and the Moon. That was me and Dave. Our hidden potential. Gravity. I missed that one. I wish I would have caught that one. That was the people that came right after me and Dave, and we both had to tear down our equipment and get out of there. So by the time I got back, they were probably done. Globebusters Live, biblical cosmology, a lot of biblical stuff this year. Flat Earth activism, that's actually a subject this year. That was done by Joshua Swift, and that was a 45-minute presentation. Action to affect the outcome, sort of the same thing. That was D. Marble. Women in Flat Earth, that was Patricia Steer. Flat Earth and the Scientific Method, Dave Murphy. Flat Earth debate, which was fantastic. That was such a fantastic between Sungenis, Dr. Sungenis is his name. First Flat Earth. It was a wonderful debate, and again, it was just fantastic about both people. But Rob Skiba did a fantastic job. He could not have studied or I mean, every objection. I don't know if he's debated him before or not, but every objection he had an overruling argument for. Let's see. Today we had NASA and other space lies. 14. Guess who that was? Anybody have a clue? NASA and other space lies. See if anybody in the chat can guess who that is.
Yeah, I'll leave that one to the chat room.
I thought that would be very obvious who would do that. Anyway, it was Jaron. He's always talking about NASA. What else? The electric manifestation. I caught a little bit of that, but then I had about 10 people talk to me, so I couldn't hear it. Where are we, Earth, according to the Bible?
Rich, the chat room said, when you said about talking about NASA, someone, maybe they saw it or heard it, but they went bling bling.
Yeah, see, Nicholas says Jaronism.
Can I say something? It probably is really good with the activism side in a way. I'm probably a bit more like Rich. I just don't know if that's quite my niche in Flat Earth, is to go out to people. But today I had to ring up about some kind of insurance, which in the end I didn't have to do. But when I was talking to this person, because I find all these insurances they're just a waste of money. You know, like they want to insure me for £1 million. I never need £1 million cover. You know, like it's just all these things. And it was just annoying me. And I started talking to this bloke and I told him about Flat Earth. So I've flat smacked someone today. I've done it. Okay.
Well, I got to go, right? The insurance guy?
No, he actually listened a bit. And, you know, I think a lot of people understand there's some things wrong. I just don't think they realise how deep it is. And the fact that you're actually talking even about what you're living on.
Yeah, that's my whole idea with focusing on the moon right now, because you don't have that stigma built up with the moon. And these are things that you can do. And with the documentary I want to do, I'm hoping everybody will share it everywhere so that hopefully people don't come in with that because I'm not going to mention in the title Flat Earth at all. In fact, the moon doesn't prove Flat Earth. It proves that science is wrong, though. And so I don't want Flat Earth to be in it. I want people to look at it and say, oh, yeah, why does this happen? Why doesn't that happen? What do you mean moon is cool? I'm getting me a thermometer. And you get people that far, which isn't far down the road, a lot of them will come the rest of the way. So I think, I think part of it is trying to be a little inventive to come at these people in a different way. Because a lot of people now are hearing Flat Earth, and of course they throw up the barriers. And if they all of a sudden are seeing a moon documentary or something else that sort of poo-poos, science, and they can see for themselves that it's wrong, then they can start looking further into it.
And obviously you've been with Dave Marsh, our lovely Dave Marsh. Yeah,
Dave's a great person to work with, just a great person. And we're going to the Rockies tomorrow. Me, Dave, and 2 other people. We're going to drive 45 minutes west. And the last I heard, it was supposed to snow tomorrow, so I hope it doesn't, because that'll reduce visibility. And but yeah, we're going to go to the Rockies, and then I get to have a nice 5 or 6 hour flight home from Colorado to Phoenix, believe it or not, because I get to go through Dallas. Isn't that wonderful? But this has been a total refresher coming to this conference. It really has.
Sometimes it is good to go away as well, isn't it, Rich?
Yeah.
Like just to go away and also meet amazing people like you've met. Bling, bling.
Yeah, that's the perfect word. Amazing people, and they are 95% of them at least.
Oh, so Dave helped you, didn't he, with the computer? So did Hori. Hori and Dave helped. Hori helped you do the microphone, and Dave gave you one to borrow.
Well, he was going to give me one, but I didn't.
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
And I don't know if his would have worked because he's got the plug-in jack, and I've never got a plug-in mic to work with this computer.
Yeah, Hori's brilliant. I say 2 o'clock in the morning, I suddenly realised my speakers had gone, and I sat there for about an hour trying to get this thing, and all I did was make it worse. And I think I half deleted the speakers. And then suddenly on my phone, I saw that before I went to bed, because I was thinking, maybe if I just turn the computer on, everything will be all right in the morning. I saw Hori, and then Hori spent the next sort of hour or two helping me put my speakers back on. So, yeah, he's lovely.
Yeah, I caught him out on a break. Thank God. I was asking him for a microphone because I really didn't think that the one that Dave was going to give me was going to work, and it probably wouldn't.
So being away, is it giving you more ideas, or do you think, right, when I get home, I've got loads of videos to make?
I don't have more ideas, but I have more connections now for different things, more resources. And that's really good. Like I said, hooking up with this guy that's willing to do sound for a documentary. And I'm sure my first documentary will look very amateurish, but you got to start somewhere. And yeah, I think it's going to be a good thing because if people will show him love back and buy his $10 CD, and it's good stuff. I've heard a couple of the tracks. It's not necessarily my type of music, but he does all kind of genres. And I think he says this might be his 10th album. But if he's willing to help us in Flat Earth, and if you're like this music at all, if we can show the love back, it'll just keep going. He'll keep working with me. I keep working with him, and then maybe others. And then as I get better at making documentaries, maybe these things can get more and more mainstream so that we can keep spreading.
Yeah, I think there's a bit more Flat Earth music out there than we think. I use copyright-free music as much as I can. And I actually use this person's, and then they actually wrote on the post, "Thanks for using my music and great video," because it's a Flat Earth video. And I thought, spawn. Because you never know, do you? The artist might go, "I don't want that on a Flat Earth group." You just don't know, do you? Even though it's copyright free. I suppose all publicity is good publicity. I don't.
Yeah, his titles, you can tell he's talking about. The album's called Magnetic North. And Smooth Water is one of the titles, and I know that's got to be about how water doesn't bend. Double Think is one of them. I think we probably all know what that's probably talking about. Stationary Palace. See the little hints in the titles. So I'm sure that's about stationary Earth.
Did you get to see our Alex, Music Conspiracy? You couldn't have mistaken him. He's going to sound like an American singing.
No, but I think me and Dave were setting up. I heard it was fantastic. People loved it.
He was very serious about that. He spent a few good months getting ready for.
Yeah, I heard it was really awesome. But that was the morning me and Dave were chopping up our presentation to fit into what we thought was 45 minutes, but ended up being closer to 30, 35 minutes.
Hey, Rich, how much is the water in your hotel?
$5 when it's available. That's why they can get $5. They created a shortage. The hotel is the pits. It's now, if it wasn't the Flat Earth Conference, Wednesday night was the most expensive night. It would have been $600 and some odd dollar. I can't remember, $600 a night for this hotel. They don't have water. They run out of coffee in the morning real early with the coffee. And if they do have coffee, they're out of cream, and nobody comes by to check to see if it's filled or not filled. They have a restaurant here, and they only have one or two waitresses, and they have them doing everything, cleaning up, changing the buffet bar, doing all kind of things. So you could stand there literally for 20 minutes and nobody seats you. And then you could sit for 20 minutes and nobody waits on you. So what I did yesterday, I just waited on myself and got everything and got out on my own. So I hate waiting. I was in the Navy, and you waited for every single thing you did in your life. You waited. And I refuse to wait anymore. So I took things into my own hands, Karen. The Navy made me do it.
When you're a flat earther, you look at differently. Like you sent me a picture of the tray in the aeroplane that you were sitting in. I mean, whoa, that was a small tray. That's like a child's tray.
Frontier Airlines, that's another one. Just like this hotel. But here's the other thing. The bar where we were all having such a great time, she turns out the lights at 11:30 and says, last call. We're like, what time do you close? Midnight. Well, like 10 minutes to midnight, she was gone. She just wanted to get the heck out of there. So, I mean, this is a hotel, and this is Colorado where everybody's smoking pot outside, and yet you can't get a beer after midnight. It's crazy at this hotel.
So how many rooms has this hotel got then, Rich?
Oh, this has got tons. It looks like a 50 rooms per floor, and I think it's at least 6 floors, maybe 8. And 50 rooms per floor might be too low. So 400 rooms maybe. There's 650 people here for the convention. That's my understanding. So I think last year was 400 or 450. So it's definitely grown this year.
Did it feel like a lot of people anyway?
It does. This year it does. And maybe more so because of the buzz of everybody interacting. Like I said, last year was almost like drones. People got up from their chairs and they just click, click, click back to the restaurant or back to their room, click, 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 back, sit down. Don't really interact too much with people. Hello, how you doing? Yeah. This year, everybody's together talking and just having a great time.
I think it made a bit of a difference knowing the press were there like they were.
A lot more press. But what's cool is, as we talked earlier in this chat, there's a lot more flat earth press people. But there's also press from, I think that I heard French from some press. So it's international people too. Now they could be from Canada, from Montreal, I don't know. But several different languages I hear going through the hall. Swedish, I met someone from Sweden. And so a lot of countries are represented here. It's very cool.
So what are you going to do for the rest of your day then? Because obviously it's a lot earlier for you. And I do very much appreciate you taking your time out to come on Sun and Moon again, Rich.
My pleasure. Well, at 3:15, I'll leave the chat. And I'm being interviewed by someone who does radio and a podcast, I think, in California. And they talk about... What's that?
I said, whoa, Rich.
Yeah, well, they're not mainstream press as far as I know. They cover their flat earth press. So it's one of those. And yeah, I look forward to it because that's, like I said, that's more and more what's happening. I met a lovely couple in their 60s. They took me out to dinner last night. We had a wonderful time. And I got to tell you this story because it happened again last night. This is cool. We get to this restaurant. It's a really high-end restaurant. And we walk in because we didn't want to eat this stupid hotel again where they're going to charge us $40 for a hamburger if we even get it before it's cold. So anyway, I ran into this couple. We got to talking. I watches my channel all the time. And they invited me to dinner. And I was like, okay, I'll come with you. So we went, and when we got there, like I said, it's a very high-end restaurant. There was a lot of people ahead of us on the reservation list. And the guy's wife went to the bathroom or outside for a minute or whatever. He goes, I need to take care of my wife. He was saying this to the hostess that was going to seat us. He said, she said, but my wallet's empty. They were just joking back and forth. She was sort of hinting, give me a tip and maybe you'll get in. So it was joking. And it brought up a memory I had when I was working for the company I worked for. We had a group of 15 or 20 people, and we walked into a restaurant just like that. And as soon as you got in there, you knew you weren't going to be seated for about an hour. There was just that many people ahead of you. Now, last night it wasn't quite that bad, maybe a half hour, 45 minutes, but we would have been waiting. So I told him the story, what happened. We walked in, the VP of sales walked up to the lady, and she said, do you have a reservation? He said, no. And she said, well, it'll be whatever. And then he walked up again, and Benjamin Franklin was on our $100 bill. He took out $100 bill and slapped it down and said, "Reservation for Franklin." And we went right back immediately.
Oh.
So I told him the story, and he pulls a $100 bill out and slaps it down on the table. It says, "Reservation for Franklin." We went right back. So it was kind of funny. But I was like, "You can afford to do that?" So obviously he can. But it shows you money will buy anything, right? So much for waiting in line for your turn. So if any of you have the money and you ever want to be seated fast, slap a Franklin down, say "Reservation for Franklin," and be amazed at the path, the red sea that parts, so you can go through and get to your table. Oh, and then the waiters, same thing. The waiters know this. I guess they tell them, how come, or they probably like, "How come you sent somebody here when it was supposed to be these people?" But the waiters are coming around. "Oh, can I really help you with this?" They're jipping for their tip, And they brought us free drinks. It was a wonderful time, but it was kind of funny. So that's happened twice to me now. How many people can say that? You went to this fancy restaurant, deep line. Somebody throws down a Franklin and says "Reservation for Franklin," and they put you right in. So much for honesty and waiting in line.
Yeah, and see what money does, Rich.
Yeah, absolutely. It can buy anything, right?
Yeah, it can buy most things, but it can't buy you love.
No. But you might be able to rent it. Just a joke.
So what are you doing for the rest of the day then? Are you meeting up with people later on?
Well, if it goes like yesterday, well, let's see what the schedule is. That interview will probably last. They might talk to me 5 minutes, or the interview might be 5 minutes when they air it, but it could be a 30-minute interview. That's how it usually works. They edit everything out. Let me see if there's anything that I will be attending later. Get the right day here. It is a 2-day conference. Well, actually, they've got, VIP and speakers dinner, 5 o'clock. I didn't even know that. So I just read it. I'm glad you asked, Karen. I'd have missed a nice dinner. That's one of the best things that happens here. If anybody's thinking about coming next year, wherever it is, the VIP and speakers dinner. These are VIPs are people that spend extra money to get access to everything, and they get the front tables and things like that in the auditorium. But you really get to know people when you go to this dinner, because you sit around with everybody else and you get to talk over dinner. It's really fantastic. Except I don't know about this hotel. That it might be, who knows what the dinner will be. Might be 2 French fries and a Coke, and thanks for coming. So that's happening from 5 to 6:30. Do you know Flat Earth Man?
No, I don't. He's in the chat room. Can you see that, Rich? He says, "Hi, Rich. It was great meeting you at the conference, and he'll go to Rockies."
He's the one at 7 o'clock tonight. So I'll probably see that. And then we have the 2018 Flat Earth Video Awards with Mark Sargent and Patricia Steer. Really?
Oh,
yes.
Oh.
Maybe if I see Patricia, I'll offer to stand in.
Yeah, what does that mean for Patricia as well?
No, like I said, I have not seen her today.
It's not fair on her, is it?
I hope he at least told her I'm not going to be here for our presentation. So I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe she left with him. I don't know. I don't want to start rumors, but I have not seen her today. Doesn't mean she's not here, but I haven't seen her. But I haven't been around much either. I've been very busy today.
Maybe they'll be doing something else, or maybe she had to find someone else to help her, and we'll do it with her.
Yep.
Rich, I don't want to part with you, but I'm just letting you know that it is 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock now. Do you want to talk for a few more minutes?
Sure. I can go for about 10, 15 minutes.
I just say that when you're ready to go, I'll say goodbye to everybody and we'll go together. And I'll just say goodbye to you up there.
10 minutes, and then we can talk 5 or 10 minutes after.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any questions for Rich from the chat? Would anybody like to ask Rich a question? Obviously, that person, oh gosh, what was their name again? Where is he? I've lost him now. The one you just mentioned, the person you just mentioned who's speaking later, he asked you something, didn't he? Any questions for Rich? Michael says he's got to run. Hello, Michael. It takes a couple of minutes to go through the chat room, though, Rich. Yeah, I'm glad you met Ace McLeod then. He seems really nice. He comes in our chat room sometimes.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Much younger than I thought he was going to be. I pictured him in his 50s. I don't know why. You just get these preconceived notions.
Questions, they're coming. Sorry.
No problem. Anyway, Ace McLeod's a young guy.
Is he? Didn't realise that.
Yeah. Early 30s, I'd say at most.
Really?
Yeah, maybe mid to late 20s. I'll have to ask him. But I swear, I pictured him like mid 50s. I don't know why.
Name like that, probably. Rich, Marilyn just said, why can you see the moon? Sorry, excuse me. Why can you see the moon and the sun out at the same time? And then Super Leads put in about the lasers and the fires.
Oh, okay. Unfortunately, while I've been here, I heard about the lasers and the fires. I'll answer that one first. I have no doubt that that's probably happened. I believe the deep state is in trouble right now and they're fighting back, particularly in California, because Trump cut off billions of dollars of aid to them because they defied federal law with sanctuary cities. So the way around that, if you want to think conspiratorially anyway, is to light fires because you get billions from federal emergency management money. So it's another way to replenish your coffers. If you're losing money through the front door, you grab it through the back door. So I have no doubt that from the little evidence I've seen, it doesn't look normal. It looks like it had to be enhanced, those fires. I don't know if they were started by that, but they were definitely enhanced, in my opinion. I've heard about that there was aerial helicopter views showing these blue lasers and things like that. I haven't seen it. Definitely doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I just haven't had time to do anything since I've been traveling. But I have heard about it. Now, as far as the sun...
I did see stuff with the fires, right? But I also saw pictures where all the trees were fine and the house was on fire. In the middle of it. When none of the trees were on fire. Just single houses. They weren't lots of houses together. There was single house. I saw pictures, unless people are lying, you know, and nothing, you know, sometimes you find out those pictures didn't happen yesterday. They've taken it from somewhere else or something.
Yeah. You never know, do you? Until usually weeks later, we find out a lot of stuff now that seemed one way 3 weeks ago, but now it's like, oh, that was all BS and it's really this. I mean, that's almost regularly happening now.
Yeah.
As far as the sun and the moon, in NASA's model, you can definitely see them both at times in the same daylight sky. I won't get into too much detail explaining that, but the way they have the orbital mechanics work, of course, they've got it so you can see the moon and the sun at the same time. For a flat Earth perspective, it's really difficult for me to explain that shortly because I don't believe what most flat earthers believe. I am fully convinced we do not see the sun directly. We see a reflection of the sun only. I think I can prove that. And I'm really leaning that way towards the moon now. With the moon, I believe the moon is in, I don't know if it's stationary in one place, but I believe there is a 3D moon that projects into our night sky or day sky as a hologram projection, reflection, choose your poison there, and which would make it pretty much the same as the sun. And like I said, I'm going to revisit the sun and show the proofs that I think that are proofs that we absolutely do not see the sun directly. We only see a reflection. And I think the same thing of the moon. I think the moon might be more of a projection. So I don't want to go deeper in that because it gets really deep.
Yeah, you'd be here for another 3 hours, Rich. And I agree with you. It's some kind of rendering we're looking at.
Yeah, it's a very good question, though. It really is. Very good question.
That was our Marilyn from last night.
Oh,
yeah, Marilyn UK. Also, Mark Offsky in the chat room said, "How are you, Rich?" Basically, because you're looking really good after everything.
oh, well, thank you very much. This has been a great refresher. And the whole time I've been here, I haven't had a migraine, which is a miracle. So I must be really enjoying myself and feeling good. I've been going to the gym all the time and getting healthy, eating healthy as best I can. And a bit of drinking here, but what the hell? It's once a year. So I typically do not drink. I just don't. Maybe once a year, if I go back to Baltimore, I get steamed crabs, I'll get a couple beers. And that's it. And I've even talked to my cardiologist about it. He's almost laughed at me because I don't know what the pills I'm taking for that. And I said, I go back. This was a few months ago after I had my heart attack in May. It was only a couple months after that I went back to Baltimore. But I asked him, I said, I want to drink a couple beers with crabs. How is that going to? And he's shaking his head as I'm talking. He's like, don't worry about it. Go for it. So I was like, okay, cool. So I've had more than just a couple here, but it's totally enjoyable.
It's okay occasionally, isn't it, Rich?
Yeah, I haven't been staggering, but I've been feeling good. It does a good job.
Yeah.
It does a good job killing pain. Pain is my main complaint. I lucked out with both heart attacks. Even though the first one they called it a severe heart attack, I had no muscle damage to the heart, and not with I caught the second one so early that there was no muscle damage with that one either. So I've been really lucky. God really helped me out there.
Yeah, you've made me realise that, like, maybe a lot of people have died in the past because they've gone in with, I've got backache and all these other things, and by the time they've sort of getting around maybe to looking at them, it's too late. They've had a heart attack.
Yeah,
they didn't come with heart attack symptoms.
Yeah, exactly. Both times I had back symptoms. Both times by the time I left the hospital with my paperwork, the patient presented with severe chest pain. I have never had one chest pain with a heart attack. So how many people, how bad are the statistics if I've been there twice and it's wrong twice? And the second time I had a little bit of, there were separate symptoms, but that you wouldn't think typically heart attack unless I've got medical training. So I knew some of the things that connected. The first time it was the back pain spread to my shoulder a little bit, and that's a sign, and just a little teeny bit of my jaw, but I have TMJ sometimes, so it could be that. But when I got home, because my back was hurting, I was having my son, I was like, press on my back so it cracks like a chiropractor. We do that, or did that, used to. And he touched me and said, you're sweating profusely, which I didn't realize. And I was like, that's it, I'm going to the hospital. And so I was having a heart attack, and they didn't believe it.
You've also got another something else alerts you, your dog.
Yes, my dog, Charlie, the first time I had a heart attack, he greeted me, and then he left. He would not come back to me. He stayed like 20 feet away. No matter where I was, he stayed away. He didn't run away, but he would not come to me. That is not Charlie. I'm definitely his favorite. If I call him, he comes every time. So I was like, he must sense something's wrong. The second time, I wasn't sure because it was much milder. I woke up at 2 a.m. My back was throbbing, but it was throbbing with my heartbeat, but it didn't hurt a lot. And I had no other symptoms. And I went to my son's room to wake him up to take him to the hospital, possibly. And Charlie ran out. He sleeps in their bedroom. He ran out, jumped up on me and wagged his tail and everything, jumped down and ran away to the kitchen and would not come back. So I was like, I'm having a heart attack because Charlie knows. And sure enough, I was having a heart attack.
Thing is, they live a bit in slightly different senses, don't they? They're sniffing. We probably sniff as well, but the dogs know you. They can smell you're alive. That's dead. They smell it different. I mean, we don't quite do that, do we? Carry on, Rich.
Yeah, I was saying, I'm sure we put off a different scent when our heart's not right. I'm convinced of it. He knew. I don't think he has ESP or anything. And I've heard several stories from people who had dogs and the owner died, and the dogs know. They will not go in the bedroom where the person is. This happened with my brother recently. He was living with a guy and he died right there. My brother took a shower. He came out of the shower. The guy was dead. And his clue was he couldn't find the dogs. They were always at his room and they weren't there. So he went into the room. He called the guy first and he didn't answer. He went in the room. He was dead. And he said the dogs would not go in the whole time until they took him out. They just stayed away. But I've heard that from other people. Yeah, I've got to go in about 5 minutes, Karen.
Yeah, we're going to end the hangout in a minute, but I'm saying a lot's happened to you this year, Rich. So going away was obviously maybe what you needed as well.
Yeah, and thank you everybody in the chat. I appreciate you being here. Good stuff is coming out from a lot of people. Good news on the horizon.
Which is good, good, good. I've just unmuted my camera, so I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Where am I? Oh, this is how slow my computer is at times. I have unmuted. Can you see me yet? There I am. Yeah. Here. Thank you, everybody in the chat room, for joining us today. And Rich, thank you so again for taking time out to come on Sun and Moon.
My pleasure.
And also for mentioning our group. Thank you so much, Rich.
You're welcome.
Hugs, Rich. Okay, then. So it's thank you from me and Rich.
I'm still showing live.
I'm just going off air now, Rich.